Hi, everybody. I'm Glenn Kennedy. Welcome back to Barn Talk. I have Charles Moss, and
Hello.
today we have our first guest. She's the matriarch of West Covina, Mrs. Clarissa Roenicke. How you doing, Mrs. Roenicke?
Hi, fine. Doing good.
So, tell us, Mrs. Roenicke, how was it to grow up in West Covina?
Well, it was great.
Yeah.
It was so fortunate, to grow up during that time. Um, it was great, and it was sort of lonely in a way because the houses were so far apart that we didn't have, we spent a lot of time by ourselves. But I can remember some of the things we liked to do best was ride bikes. And the washes that are all paved in now, where the water goes down. Well, it didn't used to be paved in those days, and it was just sand or dirt down at the bottom. So whenever it rained, the wash would wash out, and you couldn't. I couldn't get to school very easily because that's the way that I went, was down that wash. But the fun thing was when it wasn't raining and you ride your bikes and you go down a stair and then pedal, trying to get up, trying to get enough strength. But that was one of the most fun things. And then we at school, when we came to school, we'd usually come school started at 9 to 3, and we'd come up a little after 8, around 8 that we could make it, and we played softball. And we played softball until the bell rang.
Mm-hmm.
And we played, what do you call it when?
Tetherball?
No, it was in softball, but it was workup.
Okay.
So the last person that came would start out in the field,
Uh-huh.
and then you'd work your way on up,
Okay.
And then if you made an out, your first time, you'd have to go back on out to the field again. But otherwise, if you could hit pretty well, you'd stay up for quite a while.
Mhm.
But that was our fun thing.
Yeah, that was fun.
So your family is original landowners here in West Covina.
Yes.
Was it your grandfather?
My grandfather.
Tell us about your grandfather.
Okay, my grandfather first came to this area when he came from Germany. He came with a friend when he was 16, and they'd heard about the gold, and so he went up. He and his friend went up to the San Bernardino Mountains and sort of panned for gold up there. They were not very successful, so they eventually went back to Germany. But when they were either on their way going up or their way coming back, they went through this area, and it just talked to them, and it was so beautiful. And so when they got back to Germany, he married my grandmother, and the friend got married and things. They worked there for a while, and then in 1907, they came. I guess they decided this was the time to come back to the United States, to California. So they came back and bought land from Lucky Baldwin, and I lived right on there. Well, of course, there wasn't any freeway at that time, but they bought land. It was Garvey that went from Los Angeles to Pomona to San Bernardino, so it was the main thoroughfare for horse and buggies during that time, and bought land right on Garvey, right where Lazy Dog was my backyard, and so they bought land, and then my dad was raised there. He went to school with the Maxons; those were his closest buddies, and he said he always didn't ever have to worry about someone to play with because there was always somebody at the Maxon house with the 13 of them.
The 13, yeah.
So he could always find. So he would ride his bike over there, which we weren't too far from that. So we lived on Garvey between California, because California at that time went right into Garvey.
Yeah, so you own the present day mall. You own part of it
part of the
from
present day
up sun with probably up Sunset all the way to California. It went at a it's not like how the street is today. Your
Right.
property went at a different angle.
Right, they went straight.
It went
all the
straight.
roads just
Absolutely, it went straight.
Yeah,
Yes.
the early roads. Yeah, and so one of the things I remember when I was thinking about coming over today, I was thinking one of the things I remember the most being on Garvey was when I was sick. 1936 was a lot of rain, and it was supposed to flood. We heard things over the radio that Morris Dam was going to break, and if Morris Dam broke, the water would really come this way. So Baldwin Park, the Ringling Brothers Fireman Bay
Mm-hmm.
Circus, that was their winter quarters in Baldwin Park. And so with this rain, one day, I don't know where we were, but we heard this noise and went out, and here was the circus coming right down Garvey. Wagon, with the animals in it, with the lions and the giraffes and the elephants, and they were just in a straight line going down to Kellogg Hill, because they were afraid if the dam broke, it would completely wipe out where their winter quarters. So I saw a circus parade.
Yeah, that'd be
So is
right
that
in front of my house.
was that 1936?
36.
Now
Yeah.
in 1938 we had the big flood. 2 years later.
Did we? I don't.
Yes.
I don't remember. Well, now this could have been 30. It could have been 38. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it was whenever this word came that Morris Dam was going to break, which thank goodness it didn't.
Yes.
But, and never has.
Yes.
So.
And, well, this West Covina is notorious for flooding now.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Until they built the wash.
Until they built
Yeah.
the wash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the main reasons they say that people didn't live here, the fact that in the wintertime it washed out everything, but in the summer there was no water to be had until the Dancer brothers
Yes.
bought the
Dancer
land on, right here, almost on Merced, Merced and Orange.
That's right.
And Perry Bayshore came with he and his son, Quintar, I think it was, came with their divining rods to see where the water was.
Oh, I remember those people.
They found it.
They did. They did.
So
I remember
guess
that.
they worked. I don't
Yeah.
know, but they so they dug that well right on that corner of Merced and Orange, and then farmers started coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
because they
they
could get water.
water witching, and they believed in it. They hid water. I remember
who
those
knows,
days. They
right?
tell us. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the wells. How deep were the wells back then?
Well, they started at 35 feet because they used vacuum pumps, so that's how I figured you
Okay.
could suck it. But as the water went down, it went down pretty. They would have to lower the pumps,
Okay.
and I always thought it was kind of dangerous because they were hand dug.
Yeah.
They had to be big enough, and you had to go down on a ladder. And then, of course, electric pumps came in shortly after that. But that was pretty primitive in those. But that's how they started.
Yeah.
And then we had jet pumps after
Jet
that.
pumps.
Yeah.
So I knew your father pretty well. He used to sit right here at this table
Yeah.
with me, and we'd have lunch. Tell us about your father.
Yes.
Okay. Well, he came here as a boy when he was, let's see, would have been 7. He would have been 2 when he came with his family in West Covina, and went to Whittier College, where he met my mom, where I ended up going. His dad died when he was 18. His dad was really, my grandfather, Christian Kranz, was really instrumental in helping Ben Maxon with the going out to get people to sign the petitions for it to be a city. And then my grandfather got cancer and had surgery in LA just before the election and passed away. So my dad was 18 at this time. And so he stayed off for a few years working on the ranch and stuff, and then went to college. But when he came out, he worked a lot for my grandfather. Like, we were in Victorville for raising turkeys. We were in Oceanside on tomato crops, and of course that year the tomatoes were there was a heat wave or something,
Always
and
something.
and it went bust. So then he worked at Goodyear Tire Company, but he was interested in becoming a teacher, and so he used to walk from our place on Garvey up to San Bernardino Road, or Badillo and San Bernardino, and catch the streetcar.
Yes.
And go into Cal State LA, and got his credential for teaching, and did his student teaching in Baldwin Park at Central Junior High, I think, and then came here to West Covina, and was my teacher for 3 years.
Really?
6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Yeah. So that was nice, because
Yeah.
if we got in trouble or anything, the kids would tell me, "Well, you stay out of it."
Yeah.
You really did. So that was good. He was a great teacher. To me, he was a great man. I just dearly loved him. And then he was going to go. He got a job in La Puente at Hudson, and just before he took that, they offered him the job of principal in Mountain View in El Monte. And
Is that Mountain View High School?
That was Mountain View. No, that was the district.
Mountain View School District. Okay.
Yeah, and he was principal there, and then he became superintendent, and they had a school named after him. It's a Kranz Junior High in El Monte. But when he was here at West Covina, he was a teacher, he was a principal, and he was a bus driver.
Oh,
So-
okay. Well, they all,
So-
that's
He
it.
had triple duty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
triple duty, yeah.
So,
That was great.
and was a barn boy.
Yes, I used to sit with your father and your uncle,
Yeah.
Earl Mayer.
Earl.
Yes, and they don't make them like that anymore.
No, they
Yeah.
They were two hell of good guys.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that your dad used to catch the streetcar on Badillo. A lot of people don't know that's why Badillo's so wide. If
Yeah.
you go down from Orange up to Citrus, Badillo is extremely wide street because the streetcar used to run down there.
Yeah, and how fun that used to be. When I was in junior high, and anybody that had junior high kids, you would never do this today. But when I was in junior high, I would I'd ride my bike, or my folks would maybe take me in our old car to the streetcar lines in Baldwin Park,
Baldwin Park.
and I'd get on the streetcar by myself.
Yes.
And we had a friend in El Monte, and he, when the streetcar stopped there, he would get on, and we would go into SC. We'd take it in and then get a bus and go out to the Coliseum and watch the SC football games, because I'm a great sports fan. And so I think parents today letting their junior high kid take a streetcar or a bus and going all
Yeah,
night
I know.
down. You wouldn't. But that's what was so lovely about those days, was that, you didn't have worries about crime, really.
No.
You just could go anywhere. You never locked your house. It was really good old times, son Charles.
And your father was an outstanding superintendent. He was the nicest man. My
Thank
mom
you.
used to talk about how nice your family
Yeah.
was. So
I
I wanted to
thought
put
that-
that in. He was great.
Thank you. I appreciate
Oh
that.
yeah, I had to.
I
I
was-
mean, they meant that too. But he was superintendent.
So you can ask about a gas station?
Oh, Vic's gas station on the corner. I think it was the only gas station in town.
Which
wasn't
which
it?
I
which
think
corner
so.
was this, Charles?
Sunset and Garvey Avenue.
Garvey.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what's his name? Vic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a two little. You had
Yeah.
pumps and like the old station, you know.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of nice if you had it around the day. It'd be an antique and a show
Gosh.
house. but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right.
That was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cloris, was the clubhouse, the original clubhouse that sat at West Covina Parkway and Sunset, was that on your property?
The original clubhouse was right behind the school.
Oh, okay. On Sunset School?
On Sunset School, yeah, between Orange and it backed up to the Wash, but it was between Orange and Sunset. In fact, when of course it was the original school. It was
Yes,
the
yes.
original West Covina school in the 1909. That was built with the 11 kids started in 1909 there, and then they added on when they built the Sunset School, which was a 2-room school when they built it in 1911. They added on to they made the original school a stage.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Put a curtain across it.
Sure.
And then they added on that big room
Mm-hmm.
plus the kitchen, and that was our clubhouse.
I didn't know
I
that.
didn't
That's
know that either.
interesting.
I
Yeah.
didn't know it until
Yes.
a couple of years ago, and
Yeah.
and going through working for the Historical Society, and going through all the early history.
Well, that's
Yeah.
So when did they move to Sunset and West Covina Parkway? Where the Firestone Tire is?
Oh, that was a clubhouse.
That was a different.
Yeah, that was different. That was a Japanese clubhouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a Japanese club.
Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was
Now was that after or was that before World War II or after World War II?
before.
Before, that's what I thought.
It was before about. I think about 35, 36 they built that. Yeah, or somewhere in there, right before the war. Yeah, the original clubhouse, the one that I was talking about, that used to be the original school. That was where the first official acts in West Covina, the West Covina Improvement Association. Since we didn't have a city and there was no mayor or city council, the West Covina Improvement Association ran it, and they had their meetings in the clubhouse. We would have. They had. Now, not in my age, I don't remember any dances in there, but they said in the earlier ages, they used to have dances there, and the floor was wood, and if it got too sort of rough, they would take bales of hay and go back and forth across the floor and smooth it out for their dances. But they had all their activity of the people, the farmers that lived there in the clubhouse. And then when the school, we had our graduations there, we had plays there that we would put on. And once a year, the Japanese in the community would put on a great big dinner. Do you remember those?
I don't remember. I probably
you're
went
too
to
young.
it. Yeah, I'm too young.
And because of course it was before then in 41,
Yeah.
or 42 actually, where they moved them. But that was the big thing, having that dinner, I remember. And the other thing that I really remember loving to go to was we take our walnuts all to the walnut packing house that was down on Valley. And once a year they would have a big steak barbecue with donuts, like Krispy Kreme donuts.
Oh, okay.
And beans, baked beans, and that in my life that was a wonderful time. That was a big time,
Yeah,
to have steak and to have
Yeah.
those donuts. So, yeah, we didn't have donut houses around like we do now. So that was one of my few times of having a donut.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So after the war, the city started to boom. Tell us how that was.
Well, the fun thing after the war for us kids was this is when West Covina started growing. And the Sunkist Village that was built off of Merced, going down Meeker and Sunkist and Willow.
Oh, yeah, right
Yeah.
across the water
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yes.
And then the kids moved in. And so our school really started to grow. And then we started getting some stores, and a few, especially the center.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was down there where the center market on Garvey between between Sunset and California.
Yes. Mhm. That
And
boom.
yeah.
So
we
so
began
this
to be
was
more,
built. This was built as a bedroom community,
That's right.
and the reason why you have apartments and things along the side of the freeway because it was built as a bedroom community. They I guess they didn't want anything down the freeways.
No, they didn't
No,
want. They didn't want industry. They didn't want. They just wanted enough stores to to service the people that lived in West Covina. You know that it was just a place for people to raise their families
Mm-hmm.
and a nice,
It really was nice.
nice home place.
Work in Los Angeles and drive out was
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
about what most of them did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all the servicemen and things that had been in Southern California from all over the nation and loved it, you know, and liked the climate really out here and moved out here. And we were the fastest growing between the 50s and 60s. In 1950 and 1960, we were the fastest growing city in the United States.
Yes, we were.
And
Yes.
so it was a complete change to us.
It sure was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll get into that next time. We've run out of time for today. So I'd like you to come back and finish this interview. So thank you, Mrs. Roenicke, and thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you
Have a
for
nice
watching.
day.
Thank you.